Labor says it'll slash benefits for families if elected to help balance the budget in the same time frame as the government. But the Treasurer says the plan doesn't add up, claiming there's still a huge hole in the opposition's costings.
Good morning, Mr. Shorten. May God bless you.
A welcome blessing before announcing plans to cut welfare for families.
It's very good scissor work.
Outlining a $16.2 billion savings plan.
We're committed to improving the bottom line of the national budget without smashing household budgets.
If Labor is elected, the Family Tax Benefit A supplement will be halved for families on more than $100,000 a year, raising $500 million over 4 years, $2 billion over 10 years.
The vast majority of families are under the $100,000 cap.
Bill Shorten claiming Labor had no choice, blaming the government for a worsening budget.
I wish that we didn't have to make these hard decisions, but I can promise Australians that a government I lead will be upfront with people before an election.
Also on Labor's chopping block, the private health insurance rebate for natural therapies.
This saves $180 million over the forward estimates and $704 million over the decade.
And it's announced a partial back down in its long fight over $18 billion worth of coalition spending cuts blocked in the Senate. Labor will now support plans to cut company tax concessions for research and development and some changes to higher education loans, all up worth $1 billion. The government called the announcement embarrassing, claiming the numbers don't add up.
They remain in a big black hole. They threw a few pebbles in it today, but they've gone nowhere near filling it.
Malcolm Turnbull didn't respond to Bill Shorten's economic plans. Instead, he again spoke about his own.
Strong economy.
To a loyal but perhaps weary audience.
To drive jobs and growth.
Just 3 weeks to go. Kerry Yaxley, 9 News.
Political editor Laurie Oakes joins us now from Canberra. Laurie, Bill Shorten's adopted a risky strategy. What's the thinking behind it?
Well, Georgie, today's exercise was intended to show Bill Shorten as a tough leader prepared to take unpopular decisions in the national interest. But the main aim was to bolster Labor's economic management credentials. The government's been hammering that black hole theme, the spendometer idea, the claim that Labor makes big spending promises without saying where the money would come from. Today was the Shorten response, details of budget savings measures that he says would pay for the promises and in the longer term bring down the deficit. There'll be more early next week. The truth is that Mr Shorten couldn't avoid this fight. Budget repair is front and centre in this election campaign. There's an obvious contrast, of course, with Tony Abbott, who pretended there would not be major spending cuts if he won the last election. So Mr Shorten will be hoping for brownie points for honesty as well as some economic cred. But the truth is that economic management is usually an issue that favours the coalition, which means that Mr Turnbull is as happy as Larry because he sees Mr Shorten fighting on his ground, Georgie.
All right.